former Dallas County Sheriff Lupe Valdez, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time.
And so you were sheriff in Dallas County from 2004 until 2017.
Correct.
And now you want to be sheriff again in 2024. Why?
In 2005, I took over an overcrowded, understaffed, unsanitary jail in which it was well known that the people who came in were beaten. They were not taken care of correctly. Medical was an issue. Anyway, with the help of a lot of groups and a lot of people, Commissioners Court, Parkland, maintenance, even nonprofits helping and helping us to get things, we changed it totally. It was a 180-degree difference from an embarrassing situation, which the Department of Justice called third world conditions, to an example, which they also used and stated that it was an example for other jails to get it done just as well and just as quickly. It took us 4 years. I didn't think it was very quick, but Department of Justice, as they measured, determined that it was pretty fast. The neat thing about it is the people working take a lot of pride in watching that develop. We also, of course, did a new building and did a mental health unit and opened up a hospital within the jail. And the people who work there are full of pride when things like that happen. When they see the change from one thing to another, they take a lot of pride. The opposite also happens. When it starts losing some of that, the employees start getting uncomfortable. It is not, I shouldn't say enjoyable because I don't know that it's ever enjoyable, but there's no pride in coming to work. You're slow about getting there because who wants to go to something that continually is going down? I had quite a few of those officers reach out to me within a year and a half. It started, and I just kept saying, different management, you got to get used to it. It'll take care of itself. Just get used to it. And as it continued and continued, there was more and more officers reaching out that actually work in the jail, saying, you need to come do something. Look at what's happening. And the 16-hour mandatory shifts, I thought that was a little ridiculous. When you have to cover 24 hours. There's no two ways about it. You have to cover 24 hours. 3 8-hour shifts, 8 3-hour shifts, 24 1-hour shifts, whatever. You have to cover the 24 hours. But 16-hour shift is a little bit difficult for the majority of them. And that's one of the things I've heard a lot of complaints about. There's other things that I heard complaints about. But I finally decided, and let's go in there and get it done again and get it done totally this time, and then find a way that it will stay that way and not continue to go back.
I was going to ask you because you brought the incumbent, Marion Brown,
I did.
who's now the sheriff. You brought her in.
I did.
And then you endorsed her to
Yes.
be the sheriff.
Yes, I did.
And so now you're running against her.
Yes. I will say that I've had about 30 officers reach out to me. 98% of them have been African American. And I literally turned to them and say, I endorsed her and wanted her there because I thought she would do something and help the minorities and others do better. And some of the things that I've heard back, such as, she's not helping us. You helped us more than she did. And so you have to be fair across the board. And you have to delegate but verify. One of the things that I'm very comfortable with is that when there is a problem, I'll bring in the people that are involved in the problem. I'll bring in the people that have the problem, are involved in solving it, to find a solution. I don't have all the answers, but there's plenty of people who do. And I'm not afraid to have somebody smarter than me around. I'm not afraid to bring in the people that are going to find the solutions. Sometimes we would have brainstorming sessions, and we would brainstorm for an hour before a good solution came up. Several solutions came up. Some of them were not so good. And we even tried some that didn't work. But I'm not afraid to go in there and get it done. I remember one incident where the systems, every time you bring a new systems into the jail, it's a failure. Every time. And I remember the first time that happened, and there was rumors that inmates were lost. They were not lost. They just didn't keep up with the system, just couldn't keep up with them. We did manually, but system. And I remember one time that happened, and everything was backed up. And I just said, you know, what do we need to do? And the lady who was in charge said, we need to move the inmates. Roll up my sleeve, come with me. We're moving 12 of them. So you roll up your sleeves and you get in there and you do it where the stop gap is at. You go in there and you take care of that. Sometimes it takes more than one try. Sometimes it takes different things, but you've got to get in there and start doing what is necessary.
So what are you saying about the incumbent? What are you saying about Sheriff Brown? She's not doing her job?
She's not doing it as well as it can be done. I'm sure, I don't know, I'm sure she hears about the issues. But what are we doing about it? There's several things that have happened within the jail that nobody even knows about. And somehow it shows up on my phone. They'll text me. They never text me directly. They'll text somebody else and ask them to text me. And you see things that are going on. And you're going, where are they? Why isn't something being done? Yes, you're going to have incidents. Yes, something's going to happen. But you got to go in there and take care of it. Find out why it happened, and let's start again. Let's fix it. I think one of the issues right now is that since COVID, they're not doing on-hands training. You get in a computer and you train on the computer. You can't learn from a computer how to properly search somebody. You can't learn from a computer how to go into a tank and clean it up and bring out everything that's in there. You need to go back to the classroom. COVID happened in 2020. We're way past that. Let's get back to the classroom and teach them the way they can best learn.
So what I'm hearing from you is that there are workplace concerns, workplace problems, but the jail itself just passed the standards test, the inspection, right?
And
I mean, they just announced that yesterday.
Now, I also heard, I don't know if this is true, that it was a virtual inspection. And they told them where they were going to search. That's never been done before. Usually they come in and go in and check.
Well, they told us it was unannounced, and they came,
Okay.
they were an unannounced
Okay,
inspection.
then I got improper information perhaps.
So let me ask you this.
It's usually unannounced.
Yeah, and that's what they said.
Mm-hmm.
What is your message to Democrats who are going to be voting in the primary in March about why they should select you over the incumbent and the other three candidates who are running? And do you think that you can win without a runoff?
Experience matters. Success matters. How you treat your employees matters. 16-hour shifts, maybe for a week, but that's not reasonable. How you treat the people that work with the jail matters. How you reach out to the community matters. And not only one community, all communities. How you continue to work with the nonprofits who can help alleviate some of the issues in the jail matters. But most of all, what matters is who sets the tone. The tone is set at the top, and that really matters.
What are your priorities if you're elected? We talked a little bit about workplace conditions. But what are your priorities if you are to be elected?
One of the things I hear a lot is there are people who are leaving because if they can find another job somewhere, they're going to leave. The main thing, of course, will be the jail. Bring it back up to standard, bring it up to what it should be, and have the employees comfortable enough that they don't want to leave the first chance they get. When I first took over, we had an understaffed problem. And I remember telling the then county manager, I said, give me 20 more positions. And he jokingly said, or I don't know if it was for real, he said, if I give them to you, you can't place them, you can't find the people. I said, give them to me and let's see. We found the people. Then I went back and said, give me 10 more. We found the people. It's people, some people want to work, and that's a decent paying job. It's not, people think of the jail as dangerous. You never go into a cell by yourself. You have backup, you always have backup. And there's all kinds of policies and procedures to put safety in place. Let's bring those back.
So they were taken away?
They're still there. They're not done properly. When I got a video of inmates all outside their tanks. And I'm saying, what are they doing outside their tanks? And nobody ever explained it to me, but I just dropped it. I said, I'm not going to mess with this. I just dropped it. You have to continue to put safety up above anything else. The reports, the reports of the jail commission said cells that wouldn't lock. What are you doing with cells that won't lock? That's dangerous. And I read a couple of the reports, and each time they failed, I would read what the issues were. In mine also, the first 4 years that I was there, we failed because we were getting people to work. Parkland was wonderful about meeting the needs of the ill and the mentally ill. We worked jointly with them. In the first 4 years, yes, I failed. And we'd go and look at what the issues were and then figure out a way to fix it. Sometimes you have to go back to the commissioners and say, I need this in order to fix this. But you have to go at it and fix it. You can't just say, all right, we've got it, next time. We have to continually work. I used to have a team that all they did was go in there every week and check what the issues were. You have a toilet that's not flushing, you're going to have a problem. It's going to overflow. People are going to get sick. The officers are going to get sick also. So I used to have a team that all they did all week long was go around. I can't remember how many toilets, how many sinks, how many tables, how many chairs. I did know at some point. And they would go to all of these things and check them every single week. And then we would come back and fix them. That's the only way you can keep a 24-hour system maintained. You can't maintain a 24-hour system without paying attention to it. You and I have sinks that we use twice an hour. In the jail, you have sinks that are used, hundreds or 10s, 20s, 30 times an hour. And they're gonna get damaged. So you have to continually be there to try and see what the issue is so it can be fixed.
Last question. Where is your support coming from?
Well, it's hard to just find one spot because I have been blessed in getting a lot of support, mainly because when I was sheriff, I went around everywhere telling them what we were doing wrong, and how we were fixing it. I averaged 3 to 4 times a week being somewhere doing presentations. And I would show them what we're doing, and then I would tell them, we can save you money this way, or we're spending money this way. Taxpayer cares about where their funds are going. And if you say, if you show that you're using their money properly, then they're going to be comfortable with you. You know, jail is for people we're afraid of, not for people we're upset with. If somebody goes in there and we can find a way to give them a job skill, teach them some anger management, help them with anger management, fatherhood programs. We had, I can't remember, it was over 25 programs that within the first 2 years were gone. anger management, fatherhood, machinists, we taught them skills, machinists, welding, commercial printing, all of these. And then we would turn them over to another agency to help them find jobs. When you know that a person comes in, learns what they're doing, and then learns a skill, more than likely, there's going to be a high percentage that will never come back. And some of those did run into me while I was out, and they would tell me that. At least, oh, I can't tell you how many times, but I had somebody say, "You saved my life. You forced," and I didn't do that. "You forced me into a job skill." And now, I had two of them say, "And now I own my own business." I didn't do that. But they know who was leading the charge. They know that we were saying, here's what will stop recidivism. Here's what will stop them coming back. Some of them we can't help. You know, those are the ones that need to be there. But quite a few of them we can help. And we need to find ways to do it. We need to figure out what is the issue here. We had a dog program, great dog program. We worked with Grand Prairie Dog Services. We would bring in the dogs that were unsociable. And the inmates would, with a certified dog trainer, and when they finished, they would get a certificate that said certified dog trainer, and they could go get a job somewhere. But we had a program. And the inmates would be in there, and the cells, the dogs would have their cages, and they were all responsible for one of the dogs. And they trained them. They trained them to go outside and do their business. They trained them not to bark at others' dogs, and they trained them to do all this. And every so often, we would have dog graduation. You know, you do little things. You do a whole bunch of little things to make it possible for them to get the interest and for things to be usable. So every so often, we would have a graduation of the dogs that had graduated. One of the gentlemen came up to me and he said, "You know, this has really been helpful." And I said, "Well, I hope so." And then he says, and I almost teared up when he said that, he said, "If I had been this close and this good to my children, I would still have my children." And I remember turning to him and saying, "It's not over yet. Go out there and get that done." We continually did things to help people deal with their issue if it was possible. We're not going to try and help somebody that we know doesn't want it, could care less, and they're just going to do more harm. But you're saving taxpayer money. You get them, and by the way, we didn't use taxes to do these programs. It was all commissary or nonprofits. We never used taxpayer money for these programs. And so if you do stuff that shows that these folks will go out and start their life again, why not? Why are you getting rid of these programs? Because they're problemsome? Yes, they are. Yes, you have to cut a wall to let the dog go out, a wall that should never be caught in a jail to the outside. Yes, you have to do all these. And yes, you have to figure out a way to make sure there's no escape route for the dog or the person. You have to figure out a lot of stuff. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes cooperation. You have to bring teams together. You have to be able to work with all of these. And I can remember a couple of meetings after 2 hours, I'm going, "Somebody take over for me, please." Because, you know, everybody's got their own idea and everybody argues. And I'm blessed that the people I had in place would come in and take over, or they were sitting next to me, and I would say, "Take over. You know, I got to step out." And there were a couple of times when we had time out, we got to all get coffee or get lunch or get something before we come back over and actually solve the problem. It's work. It takes a lot of bringing together of people. And that's where I think my main talent is. I bring those people in and let's solve this issue. We got this issue, this issue, this issue. Let's solve it. It may take me a minute. We try something and may be wrong. Okay, scrap that one. Let's try something else. We can't be afraid to go in there and challenge. We can't be afraid to go in there and try something different. put a hole in the jail to the outside. I can remember a couple of people look at me and say, "You want to do what?" Well, yeah, the dogs have to go out. So we had to find a solution. But you have to go in there and get it done. And most of the time, if it's somebody else other than you, they won't do it.
Lupe Valdez, former Dallas County Sheriff, thank you so much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Jack.